Van from SportbikeTrackGear.com, and today we're going to install the Bazzaz Z-Bomb on our 2014 Honda CBR1000RR STG Road Racing World project bike. The reason we're going to do this is the US spec version has 6 less peak horsepower than the unleashed Euro version does. Not sure why they did that, but they did. It's probably an EPA thing. By installing this, it's going to change the timing curve and it's going to unlock that extra 6 horsepower. It's going to move the timing around a little bit too, so the peak power is going to come in a little bit later. There's a full description of what's happening here with the instructions. The instructions are really basic. This is a pretty simple plug and play. They do have a warning here that if you're going to install this, that you should have the Bazzaz ZFI unit, the fuel injection tuning unit, and or have the full unit that can tune the injection and the traction control so you have proper fuel mapping after you've done this, because it does lean it out just a little bit, okay? I would imagine that the DynoJet stuff would work too if you had the bike mapped, you know, after you install this, but obviously they would recommend that you use their product all throughout. What do we need to do this? Seat needs to come off, tank cover needs to come off, and fuel tank needs to come off. Pretty simple on this bike. We've got it set up right now, so you're using a lot of the same fasteners. So when we come back, I will have the tank cover on, the seat, the fuel tank, and we'll show you what it takes to get the Z-Bomb installed on the Honda. Okay, now we've got the fuel tank out of the way, and it's time to plug this thing in and just secure it out of the harm's way once it's inside the engine compartment here. Looking at the instructions, we've already modified this motorcycle and we've installed the full traction control ZFI unit on this bike from Bazzaz. Okay, so that does change the installation just a little bit. They want this to plug in between the stock ECU and the ZFI unit from Bazzaz. Pretty simple to do that. All we have to do is get to that TPS connector, and this is the one that runs to the stock ECU right here. Okay, that's the Honda connector. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in line. Obviously make sure everything engages. You hear the lock snap in place. In it goes. Now what I'm going to want to do, get this back in here. Just going to thread this over in here. That line, and I'm going to tie this thing off right here. Okay? Got a cable tie. They supplied a couple of cable ties with the whole deal. Come back in here. Cable tie this thing off. Like so. Trim the end. And there's your finished product. Everything is out of the way. Okay. Now we're ready to put the tank back on and the fuel tank cover for the Honda. All right, that's it. I've got the fuel tank back on. You guys saw that with fast motion. I got the tank cover back on the bike. This is a pretty simple install. What I'm going to do now before I take this bike down to Daytona and ride it, I'm just going to start it to make sure everything is okay and I didn't do anything that had a negative impact on the bike right now. When we get down to the track, I'm going to use the auto tune, the Z-Fam. I'm going to tune the bike as the instructions call out. And I'm kind of excited to see if this really makes a difference. 6 horsepower, that's quite a bit, and that should be a whole heck of a lot of fun around the high banks of Daytona. This is the Bazzaz Z-Bomb install on our 2014 Honda CBR1000RR STG Road Racing World